you know, time. I don't know what to tell you. Um, so
I know what to tell you. Drink fucking bleach, motherfucker.
in Minecraft. So, uh, speaking of
I,
speaking of Joe Biden, Johnny Arcade has turned his attention from Owen to creepy Uncle Joe, and he he managed to sit through the DNC this week, so I've got to give him a big round of applause for that because he's braver than I am. So props to you, Johnny, and I actually have a few clips of the DNC that Johnny has provided us. So the first clip I guess we'll play is let's see if OBS will work here. So the first clip I have to play here is let's see. Joe Biden lies about Charlottesville, and so that's the first thing I want to bring up. So Biden brought up Charlottesville and that whole incident, which happened 3 years ago, and the Dems still love to bring up that one incident of white supremacist violence, which, you know, although it was horrible, that was like one time. Yet they failed to, you know, talk about Black Lives Matter. So here is Biden talking about Charlottesville and bringing up this old dead horse again.
Will we be the generation that finally wipes out the stain of racism from our national character? I believe we're up to it. I believe we're ready. Just a week ago yesterday was the 3rd anniversary of the events in Charlottesville. Close your eyes. Remember what you saw on television. Remember seeing those neo-Nazis and Klansmen and white supremacists coming out of fields with lighted torches, veins bulging, spewing the same anti-Semitic bile heard across Europe in the 30s. Remember the violent clash that ensued between those spreading hate and those with the courage to stand against it. And remember what the president said when asked? He said there were, quote, very fine people on both sides. It was a wake-up call for us as a country, and for me, a call to action. At that moment, I knew I'd have to run, because my father taught us that silence was complicity.
Except for the fact, Uncle Joe, that Trump never said that the neo-Nazis were fine people. He said that with exception to the neo-Nazis, there were fine people at Charlottesville. Those who were, you know, wanting to protest to take the statues down, and then those who were wanting to petition for the statues to be taken down but put in a museum or something like that to you know, preserve history. Apex, we've never really talked about Charlottesville in particular, I don't think, because I don't think I knew you when that happened, but I'm curious, do any of your liberal friends ever bring up Charlottesville ever?
That's funny that you say that, because my one super libtard friend, who's again my oldest friend in the world, and I love him to death, he still, even before Biden brought it up, which is why I think it's kind of prophetic that he did, he used that. He used Charlottesville when when he would pin me in these, well, not pin me, but when we'd get heated in these arguments, and He's good at debate. That's the thing, and I am not, especially when I start to get wound up, and he'll take the conversation from one, where it started and lead down some different path where I end up lost and I end up looking stupid somehow. But the point never gets answered, and he never addresses it. But with Charlottesville, he's brought it up multiple times because he keeps bringing up this secret. I mean, it's fucking NPC talk, man. Like the secret alt-right white supremacists that exist in the country that are, just waiting for their moment to strike. Which I mean, I know accelerationists exist, and alt-right. I don't even know what that means anymore, but I know there's some hardline motherfuckers that literally are waiting for shit to pop off so they can kill people. But I don't think that exists solely on the right. I mean, that's pretty clear actually at this point in fucking 2020. But that's Charlottesville is cited by him over the last year or two as proof, as it was touted in the media that white supremacists exist. Look, here they are marching with fucking $5 tiki torches that they bought at Dollar General. So I mean, I was on the internet back then, so I saw it all go down. I still don't know what the fuck it all means, but I didn't see anything that told me that they were white supremacists or that they were violent extremists, maybe white supremacists or white, white, whatever you want to call them. They identified as white and were proud of that. Whatever. I don't think that's bad. Just like it's not bad to be black and proud. I don't give a fuck. Don't hurt nobody as a result. And that I don't care what you identify as. But yeah, I mean, he's a good litmus test for me because I've spent so much time on the internet. It's easy to get confused or lost rather in certain lines of research or just certain lines of thinking of certain political ideologies or whatever. But he's a real person that really doesn't spend much time on the internet. And what he does spend is, pretty much his Facebook. I think he has an Instagram, but he's not political. He argues with his family and shit, but he says he's not in a bunch of liberal groups. The only, Facebook groups he's ever been in, he gets kicked out of because he talks shit, but I think he just doesn't. So he's like a non-internet human that uses it like a normie. So I bounced some of this shit off of him to see where it lands. And that's why I'm all of the things now. I'm the Nazi, racist, bigot, homophobe, transphobe. And he says all these things in the same breath that he says, I know you're not these things, but you just seem to identify with their ideals. So to answer your question, yeah, like even before Biden brought it up, it seemed to be, it's still a, maybe not fresh, but like a real highlighted moment in recent history. Like, look, these people, this is what Donald Trump incites, kind of thing. So, and it's not even just the white supremacist thing or the Nazi thing. It's that they're Trump supporters. That's what it all ties to.
Yeah.
I got a little lost there, but that's the point, is that it all ties back to Trump, just like Biden just did. And even before Biden did that, though, that was, again, my point was that my friend has been making that connection for all these years, even without, I mean, of course, that's the way it was made in the first place. So it's not difficult to understand how he made that connection. But yeah, I mean, I would argue that it was all but gone from memory for most people, because what the fuck happened? It was, I mean, they used that as an example, or I remember being used as an example of imminent violence to come from this, these alt-right groups, and nothing ever came of it. In fact, the opposite happened, and leftist fucking terror mobs have burned down half of the fucking country. So
yeah, well, look, I mean, I've always said from the beginning, like even before Charlottesville happened, I was telling people not to go. I was telling members of this audience not to go to Charlottesville because I figured that, you know, the whole Unite the Right thing was not going to be what people thought it would be, and you know, of course, it turned out that it wasn't. It was a neo-Nazi rally, and I mean, it was a small group of, you know, a-holes
Well,
who
Sammy, there were fine people on both sides. All right.
yeah. And what Trump meant by that, like I said, was, you know, he said, with exception to the, you know, neo-Nazis, there are, you know, fine people on both sides, you know, who were just there wanting to, you know, peacefully talk about the statues. But as Johnny points out in the chat, uh, Biden said the same shit on 3 separate occasions, all word for word the same. And then, Johnny's also right in saying this is dangerous of Biden to label Trump supporters as Nazis. It gives the left the right to wipe us out. Yeah, and that's what you're seeing with Antifa too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and as Johnny also points out, there was a small group of KKK at Charlottesville, and they tainted the whole thing. And that's where all that publicity comes from, because again, it's been so long, and I was barely paying attention. I don't remember all the details. It's also easy to get fucking lost in the truth, because how the fuck are you gonna find it at this day and age?
Yeah, and
But
I actually have some, you know, I actually have some conspiracy theories out there that, you know, one of my more conspiratorial theories is that Charlottesville was kind of like a setup to make the right look bad, right? Because you have this extremely, you know, minute group of people, you know, who are doing their racist shit or whatever. But yeah, all the, you know, major news network cameras were just there, and were just so happened to catch it all unfold live, you know, as it was happening. You know,
I mean,
coincidentally,
I feel like, I mean, you could make the same argument now about the shit that's gone on since George Floyd died.
Oh yeah.
As much destruction and rampant fucking chaos, and, you know, just general ne'er-do-wells running around fucking shit up for their own, you know, sick benefit or whatever. There have been legitimate protests and legitimate reasons to protest, you know, but you don't see that. All you're seeing is fucking, you know, Black Lives Matter activists burning shit down and people getting shot. And you know what I mean? So you're only that by nature, that's all you see. When you see the reports, it's so fucking hard to find. That's why it's so fucking hard to find the truth anymore. And I don't even know that it's possible, because by now, who was that fucking CIA director decades ago that said something to the degree of, when the public can't distinguish truth from, you know, from fiction, then the disinformation campaign will be, you know, complete. And I feel like it's fucking it's exactly where we are, because it's so hard. Even the people that can find the truth, you're never going to convince people that didn't find it with you of it. Almost, you know what I mean? It's very rare anymore, because two people can look at the same fucking information and establish two completely different fucking narratives from it, you know. Aside from just the, you know, the general headlining, clickbait journalism, you know, that's been, you know, rampant since Jon Stewart, you know, whatever he did to the news back when the Daily Show became so popular, he kind of ruined an entire generation, in my opinion. And not just my opinion, I think I've said that on the show too, that, you know, when the comedy news became more watched and more profitable than the actual news, by a wide fucking margin. Jon Stewart was destroying everybody back in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The whole media shifted to the idea of clickbait. You know what I mean? So it's really hard to wade through, man. I feel like we're fucking we're all but lost at this point. Obviously, we're not, but we're. It feels closer sometimes than other times, but depending on who I'm talking to and the subject at hand. But I've talked for too long. Say something, Sam.
Well, and what's funny is when Jon Stewart was on Joe Rogan recently, I think about like a month ago now or so, I think even he said something like, I didn't think, people would literally take, what I said as, gospel, which
Right. I do remember that, yeah.
Which, I mean, part of me thinks that he knew what he was doing, but then, then again, maybe not. So,
I mean, I don't think he did at first. I think I would find it hard to believe that at some point he didn't become aware before he left the show. You know what I mean? And like consciously continued to do it while knowing how many people he was influencing. And never, without changing any of his approach or whatever. But I mean, yeah, like I don't know. I don't like the approach that everyone in entertainment is automatically bad, or anyone in any field is automatically bad, be it cops, be it actors, be it politicians. You know what I mean? Like there's obviously a scale for all of those things, and just generally speaking, most politicians are not great people. But in my experience, but that's not.
no.
You know what I mean?
I mean, I've had the same experience. Most politicians on both sides are, kind of shady, and that's the other thing too, is people are like, oh well you think Trump is a god, and you worship at the altar of Trump, and it's like, listen, I don't worship at the altar of anyone except for God, but
the Lord God, that's right.
and I like some of the stuff that Trump has done. I think Trump is hilarious, too. I think that's pretty hard to deny, that he has a sense of humor about things. But when Trump makes a mistake, I'm not one of these people who, I realize that the man is not infallible. He's human, like all of us. He's gonna mess up, and has in some ways. But, and again, I know some people in the audience are gonna hate when I say this, but at the end of the day, we do have two choices. We can either pick Biden or Trump, and when it comes to, and we don't have to choose the lesser of two evils. Well, unfortunately, in this world, we kind of do. And so when it comes to choosing the lesser of two evils, if we want to, think of it in that way, I'm gonna fucking choose Trump every single time.
Well, that's like the when I am able to cut through my buddy's debate tactics and argument skills, and I can get him down to, because as I've mentioned before, like he'll go on these Obama praising little bits as like comparing Obama to Trump, and I'm like, I pull up fact after fact after fact about, he's like, the biggest thing that he comes down to is, well, Obama sounded more like a politician, which is not uncommon. This whole return to normalcy thing that Biden's has been running on for a while now. Well, I don't care what they do as long as they sound like they're doing what I want them to do, kind of thing. But when I finally break him down, he will land on the ultimate atheist, nihilistic fucking burn it all fucking down. I don't care about anything. I don't want either of them to win, kind of thing. And I'm like, that's where I always lose him, because I can get him so close to being like, well, wait a minute, dude, you have a fucking 1-year-old daughter, a wife, and a house, and a career. You know, I use the simple argument with borders with him. Like, so you're going to tell me that you're going to keep, so not only are you not going to build a fence on your property, but you're going to keep your doors unlocked and open. Because why even put doors on your fucking house if you believe everybody should go anywhere and private property is not a thing? But I got kind of off there. But he gets, ultimately, when I'm like, seriously, which of these two do you think is a better option, Biden or Trump? He'll, you know, snarkily will answer Biden. But when it comes down to it, he's like, I don't want either of them to win because I want everything to burn. I don't want any, he fucking hates Christianity, even though his entire family is pretty devout. He thinks it's the worst thing that's ever happened to the world. He's pretty firm on that. Which, I mean, I get the arguments, some of his arguments, but he won't he's the type of person that doesn't listen to the other side. Which I kind of got lost there, man. But ultimately what I was trying to say is he will retreat to a position of absolute nihilism when I really pin him on, well, wait a minute, how can you support fucking Biden or Obama when you hate Trump for this if they've both done this and worse than what you're accusing Trump of on fucking record? And Trump hasn't actually done that. You're just inferring from, you know, his use of the word thugs. You know, Obama used the word thugs when people were writing in Ferguson. You know, so did Biden. You know what I mean? Politicians are all fucked. They all need to fucking. We don't need a system at all. Fucking destroy the government completely. We can just live as, happy communities like fucking cavemen, and everything will be great because all humans are just awesome all the time, and we'll take care of each other because that's what humans do. Like, grow the fuck up, man.
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of the whole thing that I've encountered too, because there are those nuts on the right somewhat too, and I actually encountered a nut on Twitter who was another accelerationist who was saying, you don't understand what Owen is trying to do with the whole Bertaria thing. It's all going to go to shit anyway, so we need a community like Bertaria. And it's like, and I was like, hold up, A, Bertaria is a Ponzi scheme, and B, so we're just going to become like little tribal communities because we've all decided just to say, fuck it, we're done with the American experiment because it's too tough now. I mean, that's kind of what has irritated me on both sides, is we have like the super, I mean, and this isn't everyone, but we have the two fringe sides that just want to see everyone, that want to see everything burn down, and it's more annoying than anything because they're not gonna be the ones running shit if that happens, and they don't
Exactly.
They don't realize it. So,
well, I mean, I think that's part of the problem, though, is the extremes on both ends are the highest population on the internet. I don't have any facts for that, but it just seems that way to me.
oh yeah,
That, like, you know what I mean? The most active people on the internet are, I would guess, are on the extremes of both sides of the political spectrum. You know, the people with 25 YouTube accounts and fucking, it's, you know what I mean? The fucking trolls on both sides, the shit posters on both sides, the political activists on both sides. So, like, those of us that spend time on the internet, and aren't necessarily trying to push a narrative, because that's not what I'm trying to do or have been trying to do, except for the narrative that Owen Benjamin is fucking retarded, but I haven't been doing that for a while now. It's just simply, I was talking in a small live stream chat earlier about this content creator that's just he's been a shit poster since like 2014 or so, making videos talking shit on people, and they were arguing about his stances on things, and I'm like, I never considered that, because when I watched that man, nothing he says I don't take anything he says seriously. It's just comedy. Like, he's a comedian, and he says some outrageous things, and you know, whatever else. But like, I think the part of the problem, man, is, again, so many people like me. I see all the shit online, and I have done less speaking to actual people about a lot of these things, because politics and religion are two things that I was brought up, you know, with the impression that it's kind of impolite to talk to strangers about, you know.
Yeah.
You can talk to your family and loved ones and friends and stuff, but yeah, it was just an impolite conversation topic. So to just walk up to random people like, hey, what do you think about the state of the country right now? Who are you voting for? You know, that's not like not my thing.
And
Maybe with a camera, maybe with a camera and a microphone, but not just like as a normal citizen. So again, the point though is, like, we get so much of this. I get so much of this, both sides of the political spectrum, from the internet, and from some people that I know personally, like you, but most of them I don't know a thing about them, other than what they post on the internet. So when it comes to, but the gap that I'm trying to bridge here is, when I do talk to people in real life, even the people that, like, just recently, within the last, was 2 days ago, I spoke to an elderly gentleman that was wearing a Biden 2020 hat. He's literally the first person in my corn-fed neck of the woods, that has been wearing a political hat that wasn't MAGA or Trump, 2020. And I talked to him, and he was so fucking reasonable and so understanding. And I mean, his arguments against why he wanted to vote for Biden were some of the most sound. I can't really recite any of them, but I respected his opinion, because he wasn't belligerent, and I mean, maybe he tricked me with some, you know, by speaking to me calmly and using intellectual ish words, but I don't think so. I mean, it was just like it was just a normal conversation, like with someone. I'm like, what makes you want to vote for Biden? And I mean, his general answer, because again, I can't remember any of his exact points, because I was at work, and had tons of other things going on. But it was basically the simple argument that he wants to return to the politics that he's grown up with, the American politics that he's grown up with. And I tried to argue with him that that's the reason we're in the mess we're in. A lot of it is because of the way politics have been run for the last several decades, including the entire time Biden's been a politician.
yeah.
Like, well, I understand that, but I would rather. It's funny, because he kind of made. It's kind of coming back to me. He kind of made the argument that I make to my super liberal friend about, like, Christianity and shit. Like, okay, yeah, for sure, Catholicism and, you know, the priesthood, and there's so much that's been wrong about Christianity and Catholicism over the last several centuries, but you can't burn it all down. Like, you can't just say that it's responsible for everything. And that's kind of the argument this guy was trying to make. Like, yeah, well, I don't think the bull in the china shop is the answer. I think if we can backpedal that a little bit, we can save this and that and the other. And I ultimately didn't agree with him, but like I said, he made an intellectual enough argument, like far beyond anything that I've seen or heard from, you know, the online leftist, because that's just all spurging and yelling, you know what I mean? So I think that's what's missing, is conversations in public with people about a lot of these things, you know,
Yeah, well,
honest conversations, you know, without all the you know, preloaded animosity and bullet points and shit, you know.
yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think Biden is gonna win. You know, like even a lot of the Democrats I know are kind of meh on him.
Well, yeah, especially when they see him literally fucking reciting speech for the third time, man. What the fuck?
Which I want to play some more clips of that too. And Johnny Bing brings up a good point, because this is another thing I've actually discussed with people, because all of my neighbors who support Biden, which isn't very many, because a lot of people in my neighborhood kind of think, along the lines that we do. But the ones that do support Biden, they seem to think that Biden is going to end the quarantine. Whereas, as Johnny points out, Biden will mandate masks. So if you are someone who believes in the rights of the individual are more important than the safety of the collective, you will be banned from civil society. Yeah, and that's exactly what's going to happen. Biden is not going to end the quarantine. If anything, he's going to, intensify it more so.
I don't know. I mean, I definitely could see that, but I've said internally, I don't know if I've said this out loud anywhere, but like I have this weird feeling that depending on who wins come November, that this whole pandemic is either going to very swiftly like shrink, and all these lockdowns and the mandates are going to dissipate rather quickly, say if Joe Biden wins, or if Trump wins, it's going to, like it's been now, it's, cases are going to go through the fucking roof here and there and everywhere, and the overall fake news is going to go into hyperdrive. I mean, I definitely see the argument that they're trying to, I'm actually more in line with that like, yeah, the mask mandates are not going to go away if Joe Biden wins. They're not going to go away if fucking Trump wins. I hate to tell everybody, but they're not.
But they'll
That's the thing, is this is the new normal. It's been a meme for a minute, but no matter who wins, get used to fucking masks, because it's control. Period. No matter who's running the White House, it's they have to control us, and if they can, they will.
Yeah. And Johnny just brought up a point which made my skin crawl. If election can't be decided, then Pelosi takes over as sitting president.
Yeah,
Well,
I think we would have. I mean, I hate to be brutal about it, but I think something like that would bring out the extreme extremists, and I mean that would, dude, that would be so bad. That would be so bad.
yeah. Well, to have that Leatherface running the country. So, I mean,
No, not dude. She is fucking. That is a reanimated corpse several times. I don't like. I can't even. Like, I can't even, like, when she talks, or when she is a fucking Muppet, man.
her face is frozen from all that Botox. I mean, she's had more work done than what's her face than Hanoi Jane.